All right. I think I'm recording. Yeah, I am recording. Okay. Okay. Let's go over how to do the pictures. All right. This is actually a lot simpler than hitters. All right. You've got 5 starters and 7 relievers. Pretty straightforward. You got the names here and ERA and then ERA points. So I'll explain this part here. So um each like point, meaning like ERA of like 3, ERA versus 4, each ERA corresponds to like a certain dice. So and that dice it's like a negative impact on the hitting when you do hitting. So um the ERA so an ERA of like here, maybe if I go to this ERA tab, it'll make more sense. So if you go down here, there's the sheet one, there's the attributes. Okay, ERA. Actually, let me zoom before I forget. Sorry, let me zoom here. Zoom. We can go again. Zoom, view, zoom. Okay. Oh, perfect. All right. Okay, so we'll get to that. But so ERA, um, you've got everything from 1 point. So if anything lower than 1.99 won't is not you can't it's not no it's no better. So anything between 1 and 1.99 is costs 5 points. Anything between 2 and 2.99 is 4. Anything between 3 and 3.99 is 3, and so on. And then ultimately, like if your ERA is 6 or higher, it doesn't, it's just bad. So it doesn't add any points. So coming back over here to this sheet one, um, it doesn't really matter if you have an ERA of 3.01 or 3.99. It's all the same. An ERA of 3 something costs 3 points. An ERA of 4 something costs 2 points. So in this example, I've got one pitcher with an ERA of 1.5, and that's 5 points. That cost me 5. So if you just think of my starters for a minute, when I first built this, I was like, okay, one dominant starter, 2 very good ones, kind of like a little worse than average, and then kind of a bad one. And that's how you got that structure. And then the relievers, kind of the same thing. It works that way. I didn't like weight it, starting pitchers versus relievers, just it's, whatever. But you look at what I think kind of makes sense, just when I was playing with the numbers, 28 total points makes sense. And as I did this, I came up with 30. So if you plug all your EAs in and you're higher than that, higher than the target, you have to reduce the points, which means you have to increase the ERA. So kind of right away, it's like, well, probably don't need it to be that high. If I take that down 2 levels to 3.5, and again, it doesn't matter as long as it's in the threes. Now, 28, 28, it's equal. If I go too far in the other direction, let's just say I make him, 5.25, 26. I've got 2 more points I can allocate. So my ERA is actually too high. So it's kind of inverse, but yeah, so I'll do 3.5. Okay, now that I've got that matching, I'm good. I kind of mentioned, I was saying that just to give you a visual example, as long as these 3 ERAs, if I do, let's say I do 3.05, 3.43, and 3.97. Okay. Notice that didn't change the ERA points because it's in the threes. So when I'm building my team, let's just say let's just say I want 3 guys with, my top 3 pitchers with, 3 ERAs. I might structure it this way just for like a realism standpoint. Like this guy's better than this guy. He's better than this guy. But ultimately, it doesn't actually matter. It's just more of like a realism factor, I guess. So I think I've kind of like explained that probably well enough. I don't need to go any further detail on that. I don't know if it just depends how many games we play. It does punish you even for not going on full rest. So let's just say we do a 7-game series. If we don't take any days off, you can still start your best guy, but it's not gonna. You have to use a lower die, which basically would take his ERA from something in the threes to his ERA to something in the fours. But you could take a day off in there. It just depends. Obviously, we're going to be playing probably our first two starters at least, and probably the further you go down, the less likely it is you're going to use them. So just keep that in mind when you're making the ERAs. Okay, just make sure that number equals that. And again, if the number is too low, you can actually make the ERA better. Okay, attributes. There's fewer attributes. I'll go over to the attributes tab here. This is a strikeout artist. So it makes some modifiers that makes you throw more strikeouts. GB plus is a ground ball machine. So you'll have more infield, more infield opportunities. Control pitcher just means fewer walks. So that's CN plus. Great stamina. So you actually there are things that reduce your ability to pitch further into games, and that ST plus will help you. I'm gonna share the rule book. I think I already did, but I'll try sharing it again to make sure you both have it. They'll give you the details on exactly what that does. And then wild. I do want wild is like 4 walks per 9 innings, and that's the only so wild is the only negative one. Everything else is positive. So if you want to make a strikeout pitcher, ground ball pitcher, good strikeout to walk, or at least like low walks. You have bigger endurance, and then you throw too many walks. So the way it works is, again, kind of looking at the balance of things. I think 3 attributes is actually pretty good. I was actually tinkering with 4, and I actually think this is probably too good. So right now I've got 4. That's too many. So similar to this, if the number's too high, you have to reduce it. So I gave my number 1 pitcher a lot of stamina and a strikeout artist. Let's take away the stamina. Okay, now I'm equal 3 versus 3. Or I could leave that in there. I could make him wild, CN minus, and you got to enter that in precisely, CN minus. Okay, I could do that too. But I probably won't do that. Just do this. So that means my top 3 starters, one is a strikeout artist, one's got good control, the other one's ground ball pitcher. And then I made my closer. I just put my closer here. Strikeout artist, but also, he's kind of wild. So that kind of makes sense. I think that's kind of a cool one to kind of pair together. Again, I didn't weight the relievers separately. So you've got 3 points to spend. You can use them just among your starters or your relievers. Personally, I'm probably going to stick with something like this where I put, my top 2 or 3 starters have all the attributes up here, and then like a good closer, and then everyone else will sort of drive off their ERA. I didn't add it on here. The spreadsheets that I made for you guys, I put a note here. I didn't put it on this, but it says in the note, you cannot add attributes to the bottom 2 relievers. So the reason why I did that was I thought you were almost certainly, even no matter how many games you play, we're probably very unlikely to use those 2 worst relievers. And you can kind of cheat, I guess, by giving them all like the CN negative for guys you're not going to use. Now, I think for this guy, so Sunny Day, my 5th reliever, I think there's still a good chance I will end up having to use him at some point. So if I wanted to, I can make him a little wild. Now that gives me an extra point to spend, so I can go back and make Rob Carmeyer, make him that. So you can kind of work that. But I felt like having the negative attribute here kind of gaming the system a little bit. So you can't do any attributes there.